Hello everybody and welcome to another exciting list video series. A series is when we do the same theme over the next 5 weeks, including this one, and I'm actually very excited for the discussion that this one's going to bring to us and also to you, the viewers. And you can let us know in the comments as well, join in on the discussion with us, as we're going to be talking about 3 cards that define a class to us. So this week we're actually starting with the Rogue, and we have a different order than the normal one. I asked my patrons quickly to just rank what they thought the strongest colors were. So the order we're going to do is Rogue first, then Seeker, Survivor, Mystic, and Guardian. So for the next 5 weeks, we're going to be talking about cards that define the class to us, and we're starting with the Rogue class. We all did these individually, and there's actually only one card that's matching on some of our lists, which I think is pretty sick. But why don't we dive in, starting with the first card that defines the class to us. Bryn, why don't you take it away as the Rogue expert of the 3 of us?
We got Sure Gamble. This one just like a lot of rogue effects allow you to cheat or alter the way the game rules apply to like a specific thing that you're trying to do. For example, replacing a negative modifier with a positive modifier of the same size. The game's like -8 says you fail, and you're like, just kidding. How about I don't? How about you don't do the thing you're supposed to do, but I just move on with my life? And that's a piece of the rogue tree that consistently sees us punished for interaction with yellow cards. But hey, it's still cool.
Yeah, and like definitely like the gambling theme as well. Which we're going to see further on this list as we get deeper into it. But yeah, just like the cheating and like not following the rules in the very rogue way that makes them the rogue class. It's really cool. For me, the first card I have here that defines the rogue class to me, it easily could be Travis's 25 automatic here. But Garrote Wire represents 2 things for me in the rogue class and what defines them as the rogue class. Number 1, extra actions. So this is a lightning bolt. It's not an action to actually attack with it. It is a free action. And like rogues, they love their actions and taking multiples of them. What this does also represent for me for rogues and defining the rogue class is that their cards like suck unless you can like jump through the specific hoop that the card wants you to jump through, right? That's kind of like the rogue thing. You have to work to get the full value out of your card. It's not just like something you play and then you're going to be able to use it every turn. You need to take advantage of it to get it really good for you. This is most notably in like their weapons. Because of the rogue stat line, we have like the Mauser, which is obviously like a good weapon if you don't have, like if you have 5 punch, like Tony Morgan, it's a great weapon. You can reliably shoot with it multiple times a turn. If you're someone like Skids O'Toole, you have to work for it. And Garrote Wire to me represents that as well. But I think it shows like also like the peak of this as well, that it's a very good card. But it has to be in a very specific set of circumstances to really get the value out of it. And I don't want to step on Travis's toes here, but I think also the 25 automatic also does that very well in terms of fitting into this idea of the rogue class.
Yeah, so I picked the 25 automatic because for some of the reasons that Justin discussed with the Garrote Wire, this card also embodies sort of the reliance on evasion and having a high foot score that Rogue cares about. It's fast, which is a common keyword to find in Rogues. And yeah, it does have the conditional fight action again. But it like rewards you for going through with that, for jumping through that hoop in its own way. And then it also gives you +2 punch, which is like sort of indicative of, expecting that the person using this is going to have a medium fight score.
Yeah.
The fact like you would never see Guardian get a 2 experience weapon that lets you fight for not an action at +2 punch for +1 damage. Like this card is wholly like the sort of the green fighter.
Yeah. And it does a very good job, as we've said in list videos in the past. The 25 automatic is just like a very, very well-designed green weapon. It feels so rogue from top to bottom. All right. It's also fast. I always feel like they need to have fast like be a lightning bolt near the resource icon. Just because like when there's so much text on a card, it just like disappears sometimes.
Like on the skeleton key.
Yeah. Also
I've
for me,
spent so many actions playing that card, man.
yeah. Also like me, anytime I play pickpocketing or like the level 2 where it's like, you know that's fast, right? And I'm like, no, no, I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, of course I know.
Yeah. All right. We'll go to our number 2s. Bryn, take it away.
I got emergency cash. Now you're probably thinking, that's not a green card. And you'd be right. I'm not colorblind. I'm aware that it is not a green card. However, one of the defining characteristics of the green class to me is how much more efficient than emergency cash their cards get to be. Mm-hmm. It is one of the this card versus Faustian Bargain or even Easy Mark. Like how much better that is than just emergency cash is a clear part of the class identity to me. How easy it is to get money.
Yeah, definitely. Like I almost put like Faustian and Easy Mark almost made it on my list because they're just like so efficient, both of those cards. But like, yeah, I think it's a fair way of putting it. It's just that, you know, it's weird that like, yeah, a card that isn't in the class can define it, but it does make sense, right? It is fair.
Yeah, right. Like the definition is more like I wouldn't. There aren't. I would have a very hard time picking one of them. It would probably be Faustian because it's level 0, and this makes it quite ubiquitous.
Yeah.
But that is like a clear part of this is like how much better they are at amassing huge piles of resources to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's very rogue, and that's I mean, like we see like in the big money, right? Like that's like been an archetype in Rogue for a very long time. It's built into 2 of their investigators as well, right?
Yeah, you show up in the games like you have to have 20 resources in your pool that you're not using to make this card do a thing.
Yeah, and at this point now with the card pool, that's very easy for rogues to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another card I have here that defines the rogue class to me is Haste. I could not imagine this card in like any other color. This card lives in the rogue class. It has that same thing where I talked about previously with Garrote Wire, where this cares about extra actions, but you have to like jump through one of the hoops that Dexter is moving in his many right hands to get the extra action. It's pretty easy like once you like build your deck around it, but even then it just feels like it's like a little reward for doing things in a way that might not be optimal but usually is optimal. But there's times where like you might have to think, do I go out of my way for this? And I think that's just like, it feels like a very rogue card. And then there's also the fact that like you can like just like it allows you to do the things you're going to want to do multiple times. Like, so for example, you know, if you're a goon, this will allow you to fight multiple times. If you're a flex, this will allow you to like fight, and then maybe you can also then activate because your gun isn't activate, so you can activate like a lockpicks, and then you can like investigate again because you just took like you can activate something else that allows you to fight again. There's a lot of really cool potential that you can do for this that is, dare I say, like needlessly complicated for like a little dopamine hit. And I mean that, I think that's like a perfect rogue idea, right? Where you just like, you do something that's like, you're like, I did it. And then it's like, I'm happy I did that. And you're like, I got one action out of it and I did all these other things. And everyone's like, and you know, we're happy for you. Travis,
I got you handle this one for mine. This card is very one of the earlier cards that they printed for Rogue that is very rogue-like. It lets you basically pawn off your encounter card to turn it onto a different player, and gives you a resource for the privilege. This sort of selfishness is like very on theme for rogues, and this is a very integral card to playing Rogue in multiplayer because you can pass off all those scary brain tests. It's mostly the brain tests. Occasionally the foot test for like Tony Morgan's or something like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes even just being able to pick where monsters spawn
Yeah,
Yeah.
or who they
is
spawn off
very
is pretty
powerful.
handy. Yeah. And like gaining a resource some turns like is like gaining an action.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This card is actually like pseudo action gain for you.
Yeah, I just love the idea of this guy. It's like, yeah, they're fighting the monster outside the door, and he's like, yeah, no, I'll be right out there. I gotta have this cigarette left to finish.
Yeah.
You guys got that though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I think this card would be played even if you didn't gain you the resource. But, like, it just giving the resource on top, it adds to it, right? Like, it has, like, the things that we were previously talking about. Like, even in this slide here, right? The resources, you get a benefit that's really good, and other classes would like to have this. But then you also get an action out of it through the resource. I think it's definitely very roguey. All right, let's go to our number one cards that define the rogue class. Bryn, take it away.
We got the lockpicks. This is one of the things that rogue does, because their identity is high foot number, and or at least like it was for a long time, and for I guess the first two expansions of the game, foot kind of didn't really do. And this is a card that and there are many like it that allow you to take your high foot score and do something with it that isn't just die slower. And that's an important part of this color identity, I think.
Yeah, like breaking and entering almost made it on my list because I feel like that card is incredibly rogue. It has add your foot, you get an evade, and that evade is free. If you succeed by the number, it has like everything on it that's like, yes, I'm the rogue card. Yeah, but
ticking all the boxes.
Yeah, but I think lockpicks is like a more ubiquitous one. Like, it's just gonna like always be there. Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out that it's in the core set now, and I didn't know that. You guys have no idea how good you have it. Well, I mean, some of you might.
Yeah. One that actually also kind of made it on mine too was I was considering it was even Thieves' Tool. Now just being able to also like use your foot skills on investigate tests, I think is also going to be really nice for helping the rogue class feel a bit more, a bit roguier when it comes to their cloovers. They don't need to rely on just lockpicks anymore. They can do both and just have more consistency in finding their investigation tools. My number one card here that defines the rogue class is You Handle This One. Wow. It's, I don't think there will ever be a card, to me, that defines the rogue class more than this card, because it's so selfish. Like, it's so, like, you're only thinking about yourself. Like, I mean, in, like, the game, when you're playing it, you're going to give the brain test to the person with the highest brain, right? That's just, you're going to play it to win. But, like, just the idea that you turn a card into someone else's problem and you benefit from it is just so, like, greedy and, like, underhanded and slimy. And it just fits so perfectly with this class. And I think it's an ultimate flavor win. And I'd love to know, like, in the design, when they were like, okay, our rogues are going to have shit brain, and that's, like, what the rogues do. And then they were like, okay, but we need, like an opposite, like, they need to have some way to deal with the encounter deck. And then they probably were like, what if there was an opposite ward of protection? And it's just, like, so beautiful. And, like, there's, like, counter espionage, which is obviously doing a good impression of it. And you, like, draw a card from someone else's deck, but that's still, like, you draw a card from your deck if you use it on someone else, which still has that, like, selfish feel to it. But nothing will ever come close to just how much of an asshole move this card is in its design. But the thing is, it's also such a success because it never feels bad, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense that you gave this to me. Because, you want to win and not die, and I can handle this. But just, like, at its core card, it's just like, you're like, no, I'm not dealing with this. This is your problem. Thank you, bye. And, like, you can also game it, and like we've done it before. We've given our ward of protections to, sorry, we're giving our ancient evils to our mystics with their ward of protections, right? It's just, I think it's like, it's such a good card. It's a really good design, and it's like ultimate rogue for me.
Yeah, yeah. There are also a lot of treachery cards that can be effectively blanked by this card too.
Mm-hmm.
Where like if you hit and what is it, Enshrouding Mist, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Obscuring Fog.
Obscuring Fog, yeah. You can just give it to someone where they're at a location where it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or throughout the majority of slight spoilers for Edge of the Earth. But there's a lot of them that attach to your location and make your location suck.
Yeah.
And you can just give that to somebody who's not going to be at their location during their turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And get paid for the privilege.
Hell yeah, exactly. You do all this stuff. You give your trouble to someone else and you get rewarded. It's great. It's like a perfect greaseball card. I love it. All right, Travis, why don't you close us off here? What do you got?
I got High Roller. This card supports a lot of neat rogue archetypes, I think, and that it's good in all the resource archetypes that it cares about. It cares about the succeed by archetype.
Mm-hmm.
It helps mitigate your trashy do things stats. It's just another card that I think is really well designed. It's fun to play with. And it's like free till it's not,
Yeah.
Which is it's actually another sort of common theme throughout rogue cards where they're like lockpicks. It's free until it's not, and you have to throw it away. Or opportunist.
Yeah, it's free till it's not. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, so it's a very rogue card. It's one of the first cards I think about when I think about the rogue class. It's just cool.
I'm very excited to try High Roller with the fancy coat or whatever it is in Scarlet Keys, where anytime a card like gives you a resource, you get an extra one, so you can start making money off High Roller. Ooh, that's gonna be fun. You got to start profiting from your gambling even more.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, for everyone watching at home, what are the cards in the rogue class that define it to you? Please let us know in the comments. And buckle up, because we're going to be doing this for the next 4 weeks as we go through the Seeker, Survivor, Mystic, and Guardian class. So buckle up and get ready for that. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.